A barefoot boy weaves between traffic, balancing a tray of groundnuts on his head. His eyes, sharp and alert, reflect a childhood marked by survival rather than innocence. Unknown to him, fate is only seconds away from rewriting everything he has ever known. A convoy of expensive SUVs cruises by. The doors open and a powerful, wealthy man steps out. Chief Darlington Nwachukwu, one of the most respected, feared, and envied billionaires in Nigeria. But for the first time in years, something brings him to a halt. Not a business deal, not a scandal, but a necklace. A simple golden necklace hanging from the neck of a poor street boy. What was once a forgotten token from his past has returned, and it wears the face of a child. In a grand mansion filled with marble floors and imported chandeliers, a young maid named Ada once served in silence. Orphaned young and with no formal education, she took refuge in the only job she could get, domestic help for the Nwachukwu family. Amid sweeping floors and washing dishes, she found herself noticed by the young heir, Darlington. What started with occasional glances evolved into quiet conversations. Then late-night visits. Then betrayal disguised as affection. One night changed everything. She discovered she was pregnant. Terrified but hopeful, she confided in Darlington's mother, only to be met with cruelty. Ada was thrown out before she could defend herself, left only with a suitcase, her unborn child, and a necklace Darlington had given her in secret. In that necklace, she found strength. In her womb, she carried a legacy no one wanted. Chief Darlington hadn't thought of Ada in years. He had moved on, built an empire, married into another wealthy family, and carried the image of perfection. But seeing that necklace again, the very one he gave Ada in shame, stopped time. His heart pounded with questions he wasn't ready to answer. How could a random boy on the street have something only Ada owned? Was it possible she had kept the child? Haunted by this possibility, he launched a quiet investigation. Within days, his men found Ada in a dilapidated slum. Older, thinner, and with eyes that told of 1,000 silent battles, but still carrying herself with pride. There was no question now. The boy was his. Ada had raised the child alone, without help or recognition. She had begged for mercy, been rejected, and forced to disappear into the margins of society. Yet she never gave her son hatred. Only love. Only truth. Now the man who cast her aside stood at her door, not as a savior, but as a reminder of betrayal. He offered wealth, houses, protection, even schooling for the boy. But Ada saw more than a billionaire. She saw a man trying to fix the past with money, not accountability. Her forgiveness did not come instantly. The wounds were too deep, the pain too personal. But her son, his son, deserved answers. As Darlington drew closer to Ada and the boy, his perfect world began to crumble. His legal wife, Madame Ola, learned of the secret child and erupted with rage. His mother, the architect of Ada's rejection, threatened to disown him. His board of directors panicked over the scandal. Church elders distanced themselves. A war brewed behind closed doors, between the life he had built and the truth he had hidden. But the more time he spent with the boy, the more Darlington changed. The child was smart, observant, and kind, everything he had hoped a son would be. And for the first time, Darlington saw the cost of his silence. This wasn't just about guilt. It was about legacy. As Darlington fought for the boy's place in his life, Madame Ola made her move. She feared the boy would replace her children in the line of inheritance. Late one night, as Ada and her son returned home from church, they were ambushed by masked men. The boy was beaten. Ada screamed for help in the darkness. Blood stained the earth. The news broke the next day. Unknown gunmen attack woman, child in slum, possible ties to billionaire's secret family. Darlington stormed into the hospital, trembling with rage. For the first time in years, he wept publicly. The attack cemented his decision. He would protect them at all costs, even if it meant losing everything else. 1 week later, Darlington hosted a press conference attended by dignitaries, media, church leaders, and his entire family. In front of flashing cameras and a stunned crowd, he introduced the boy, Chibweek, as his firstborn son. Gasps filled the hall. His wife walked out. His mother nearly collapsed. His brothers whispered, worried about inheritance. But Darlington stood firm. The boy, once mocked on the streets, now stood in a clean suit, staring into cameras he had once only seen on shop TVs. He didn't crave the spotlight. He only wanted to be acknowledged. The legal battle began almost immediately. Madame Ola sued for the exclusion of Chibweek from the will. She claimed fraud, emotional manipulation, and public disgrace. The court demanded a DNA test. The result was indisputable. Chibweek was Darlington's blood. Public opinion split. Some saw Darlington as noble, others as reckless. Social media exploded with debates, hashtags, and conspiracies. But through the noise, Chibweek never lost himself. He stayed grounded, guided by a mother who raised him on dignity, not wealth. Months later, Darlington was diagnosed with a severe heart condition. Years of stress, secrecy, and guilt had taken a toll. As his health deteriorated, he called for Ada and Chibweek. He rewrote his will. He set up trusts in Chibweek's name. He funded charities that supported single mothers and abandoned children. In his final weeks, he asked Ada for something he had never had the courage to ask before: forgiveness. And though she did not answer with words, she stayed by his bedside until the end. After Darlington's funeral, Ada and her son stood before a crowd at a charity gala held in his honor. Chibweek, now a young teenager, stood on stage and told his story. He spoke of his mother, her sacrifices, her pain, her strength. He spoke of the necklace, the one gift his father had given his mother in shame, which became a symbol of their son's identity. He spoke of legacy, not the one written in wills or bank accounts, but the kind born from truth, responsibility, and redemption. The crowd wept. And in the back row, Madame Ola stood alone, watching the boy she tried to erase rise into the light. Back at the mansion, Ada opens a drawer and places the necklace inside. The same necklace that once marked rejection, now resting in peace. She looks out the balcony, where her son, now in a private school, now known, now safe, plays with his friends. The wind is calm. The storm has passed. A story of shame, struggle, and salvation. Because sometimes, the past does not stay buried. It wears a name, walks in the street, and calls you father.